What is going on, YouTube family? Welcome back to another episode of NASDAQ100 analysis, where basically we're going to be picking up where we left off last week, the moves that I made, why I made them, as well as where I think market is going to go. Alright, so that's what we're going to be doing. And before we get into that, shout out to all the guys that left a comment on my last video. Big shout out to you. Thank you for doing that. I definitely appreciate you, right? And if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification, and drop us a like. I believe the content I'm going to be sharing with you today, you are going to find super useful. So we're just going to get straight into it in regards to where I left off last week and where I think market is going to go. But before I do that, we're just going to get rid of some of the stuff we got on the screen, right? Just to keep everything a little bit light and organized, right? So we're going to get rid of the FVG. So we had an FVG in this area. I've just taken that off because that FVG has been violated. The market obviously is pushing upwards. We don't need that anymore. So with all of that covered, let's get straight into it, right? So last week's video covered this area that I'm about to separate. So Friday, that was Monday. Okay, cool. Sunday, right? So this was Sunday. So this is when I did the video. So when I did the video, we was looking at this area right here. I was talking about the weekly high over here, and actually let me get rid of this chart for, not this chart, sorry, this candle for a minute. Let's get the normal ones back on, and we'll go back to the other candles later on, Hakishan or whatever. Yeah, we'll get back to that. Well, it's not whatever, you know what I mean, because it's important, but we'll get back to that later on. All right, so last week what I talked about was the weekly high being taken out, and if it was because I was biased in my moves for only looking for sales, right? Only looking for sales, essentially that was what I was looking for last week, right? That's what I was looking for last week. So last week, how it basically went, it was kind of like this, because I did quite a few trades last week. I kind of broke my rule of only doing was it one trade per week. I did a couple, I lost a few, and I won a few as well. Overall, it put my account in positive, but not as strong positive as what I would have liked. But bottom line is we did a couple trades, and naturally obviously some of them worked out, some of them didn't. So the first trade that I basically did, right, the first trade that I did, and let me just highlight this area, it was when price came to the weekly high, right? Because that was the previous weekly high over here, right? It came up to it, but it did not close above it, right? So I was of the mindset that price was going to fly down. So essentially what I did was, because that was in line with my overall bias, was to put a sell on this candle over here. And as you can see, that did not work out, right? So I put a sell right here, right, in anticipation, and this candle over here fooled me a little bit. It kind of led me to believe that price was going to be pushing down. There were a lot of buyers pushing the price up, but in my opinion, I believe price was going to be coming down. So I put a sell in this location over here. My stop was covering these levels up here, right, and naturally I was taken out. Me losing that trade, right? What I then realized was that obviously the weekly high had been taken over. The candle pushing through the weekly high was super parabolic, right? A parabolic push to the upside. So what I basically did at that point was I put in a buy at this location. So I put in a buy at this one over here, and my stop was covering that previous last week. So it was a large stop, right? And then my TP was once again very, very, very ambitious. And as you can see over the week, I didn't get anywhere near the TP, but it was the trailing stop that took me out, right? And the trailing stop that I had at this location right here was what took me out, right? So I had a trailing stop under this level over here, and that's what took me out, right? And that will be better explained once I bring on the Hayeken Hashi. I probably pronounce it wrong, you know what I mean? Such is life, right? So let's go to that candle for a second, and then you get an idea why I decided to move my trading stop to this location over here, right? So essentially it was really simple. I started to see obviously bearish candles appear, right? And in my mindset I was thinking, still with the same bias, the price is going to be coming down. So naturally what I did was I brought my trading stop to this location over here, locked in all of this that I had gained, right? And then I was taking out, and that was me done for the week, right? That was me done for the week. So overall for this month, I believe I've actually got my account in the green. So some of the errors that I made definitely last week, right, has managed to put everything back in balance, because I did make some errors in the beginning of this week, right? And in all fairness, this sell over here was a few trades that I was playing around with in this area just because I was impatient, and they all kind of went wrong until I had that massive parabolic to the upside, and obviously I changed my mind and naturally everything worked out. So with that covered, we're going to get rid of this for a minute. We're going to get rid of this one for a minute. We're going to get rid of this level, and we're also going to get rid of this one over here, and we're going to get rid of these labels because obviously we're going to assign new ones. Okay, so let's get rid of these labels. Okay, that's gone. And I'll keep this one there for a minute, and let me just go back to the normal candles for a second, right? And let's just see if this trend line needs to be rejigged. So up here is relatively solid in terms of how this trend line looks, and obviously all of that is past data, so I don't really need to be too hard on it or too focused on it. But this one here is still because what I like to do is when I draw the trend lines, I want to make sure that I'm not forcing it into place. So it's not being forced, it's more or less symmetrical. Okay, so I believe, so this is the trend line I've now come up with for the NAS, right? And I believe it looks kind of okay. So let's get rid of this trend line for a minute. This one that I had over here, let's get rid of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to put in the new levels that we now need to keep an eye on, right? So we have a new weekly low over here. Let me assign a label to that. And then we have a new weekly high over here. We're going to assign a new label to that one also. Okay, so the weekly highs and the weekly lows that I'm going to be keeping an eye on, let me just assign some labels on here. So that's a weekly low, and this one here is a weekly high. So the new weekly high and the weekly lows that we need to keep an eye on, starting from the top to bottom. So weekly high, so we're looking at 18679.0, so that's this level right here, right? We're keeping an eye on that one. And on the low side, we're looking at 18084.2. That's this level right here. Okay, if any of these levels are taken out, depending on how they're taken out, I'll be looking for positions in that direction, whatever direction just got taken out. All right, so with all of that said and done, let's get into other things that we may have spotted in this current market that may give us an idea as to what to do for next week, which will be week commencing the 20th of May. Right, so what I can already see here is we have a descending flag in this location right here, right? So we have a descending flag right here, and these descending flags, if you've been following your books, right, you would know that there is a higher probability for it to push upwards. Okay, so as it stands, let's just see exactly what we got going on here, and we're going to do more of an in-depth breakdown in this area because we're not done here. We're just laying this out for now, but we're going to come back to that in a minute, right? So this descending flag that we have over here, okay, has a high probability of pushing to the upside, right? It has a high probability of pushing to the upside. And if you followed along with the video that I did last week, you would have noticed that I said if this level over here gets taken out, so this is the level that I'm about to assign this to, so let me just add a color, let's put blue, okay, which was the previous high of this overall structure, okay, that I would be looking for buys, right? So right now as it stands, looking at what this is looking like, looking at the level that is just taken out, okay, I am looking for buys, right? So I'm looking for buys, and I think I'm looking for serious buys at this point, right? Serious buys at this point, because obviously the move that I was looking for has taken place. So now that we've gotten that side covered in regards to why we're looking for buys, okay, let's see if there's anything in this area that's going to support why I should be looking for buys, right? So first things first, we're going to look at all of the FVGs that is located in this area right now, right? Now, FVGs are not the Bible. They're not, in my opinion, they are just a guide. They're not an absolute in anything. Like when it comes to the market, they're not absolute of anything, right? So we got to treat them with a pinch of salt. You really do, right? But they do work. They do work. So you got to be mindful about that, right? So we have FVG. Is there another one in here? Let's have a look. So we've got another one in here. We also have another one here. And we have another one here. Okay, and we have another one here. Let's see if there's any more. Okay, so this is what we got going. So we have a stack of FVGs in this location right now, okay? A stack of FVGs in this area right now. It does not necessarily mean that price is going to be pushing up, but it can definitely help us in regards to how we're going to navigate based on what it is that we're looking at, all right? And if you just use this FVG off the rip to begin with, you might actually be sitting in some type of drawdown depending on how you did it. So for example, you could have put a buy up here, right? At which point you're in drawdown right now, right? Okay, so what I kind of want to do before I do anything for next week, I want to see if it clears this zone. So as it stands right now, we have 3 positive indicators that leans towards the side of market is going to be pushing up from Monday week commencing the 20th of May. Okay, so that is first off, a major high has been taken out, and that is this one right here, right? This level, this blue line right here, that's this major high that's just been taken out. Okay, at the same time, when market pushed to the upside, okay, we have a stack of FVGs, right, that price is kind of sitting in, and this one right here, this FVG right here is where price went into and pushed away from. Okay, and at the same time, apart from the top one, okay, no, apart from the top 2, they haven't really actually been fully violated. Okay, so these ones are still good. These FVGs here and here is still good, right? So even if these all get violated, if this one does not get violated, it's fair to assume that there's a high probability that price is going to be bouncing up and pushing upwards. And literally, I forgot, there's another one down here as well, right? There's a whole bunch of them in this area, right? A whole bunch of them in this area. So first things first is I want to see what type of momentum, right? Because now I'm looking for buys, right? I have a very good reason to be looking for buys right now, right? This is not just a feeling. I have a very, very, very good reason to be looking for buys right now. So I want to see the momentum of price should it break away from this area, and I also want to see the momentum of price if it starts pushing down to this area down here. And remember, we have the weekly low sitting down here, right? So until this level here gets taken out, right, it's fair to assume that this is an uptrend, right? And obviously we're going to navigate it accordingly. So if I was going to do anything in the market in regards to this move over here, right, and say I wanted to do it before I had actual confirmation that market was going up, and where is actual confirmation? Weekly high being taken out. Okay, I just wanted to use the FVGs as a guide to help me obviously plot my trade and get out of it, as well as obviously keep a decent and respectable size stop, right? This is where I would have my trade positioned. So I would put my long position about here, right? Just above this area over here, right? So my long position will be right here, and my stop will be covering this wick down here, and my stop, because I'm not gonna lie, right? Yeah, and the standard system is 2-to-1, right? It's 2-to-1 ratio in terms of risk to reward, right? But I always like to be super ambitious, so I'm just gonna push it up to about 4, right? So I push it up to about 4, because I'll be using trading stops in my trades anyway, right? So this on one side is going to be whatever market gives me, and at the same time, if I get lucky, it's going to hit the TP, which is going to be a big win. So that's going to be my style. So this is how I would do it, right? But the sensible approach will be looking for the momentum in terms of how it actually takes out this high over here, the weekly high over here, and then move the buy to this location just above the weekly high, okay, and keep the stop where it is. That'll be the sensible approach, right? But at the same time, I wouldn't want to be putting in anything pending until I know that it's definitely going to be going past this zone. Up until then, I will be quite careful in terms of how I do it, because pending orders can be a blessing and a curse at the same time, right? And I would say I haven't actually reached the level of having a good mastery or having a good handle on using pending orders. So I use them, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? But however, it's because of how I use them, hence why I get mixed results. So as it stands, I'm still, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm still in the early stages in terms of how to apply pending orders properly on the chart to make sure there's a high degree of success that is going to work. And why do I say that? Okay, so sometimes with the weekly high, what can happen is you put a pending buy up there and price will go, just touch it, because it is an area, right? It is an area of interest. Market will go there, right? And then it will fly back down again. It will fly back down again, and it wouldn't even give you the opportunity to even make profit, right? Because you straight will be in drawdown. And it's happened to me a couple of times. So what I like to do is I want to make sure that I've gotten all the indicators to say that, okay, the momentum is there. Price has definitely blasted all the way through, right? And I am confident to say that there is a high probability that it is going to go in the way of whatever direction I'm looking at. So in this case, this is how I literally would do it. I will set my alert at the weekly high. I'll wait for the weekly high to be triggered. I will then go into the 15-minute to have a look to see what kind of candle closed above it, and how strong was the momentum in whatever direction. So in this case, upwards, right? Once I have those indicators, I would know should I enter straight into the market or if I should put in a pending order. And with that, all of my confirmations would have been ticked off, so I know that there's a high probability that it's going to go my way at least for a large portion of that day, right? If I'm really lucky, it will continue into the next day, and if I'm really super lucky, then obviously it will keep continuing into the day, and then maybe on a Friday or a Thursday the price will start to break down, right? So that's what I'll be looking for. So that's how it stands. So these are the levels that we're looking at for next week, right? These are the levels that we're looking at for next week. So on the low side, this is what it is. We're looking at 18079.0. On the high side, we're looking at 18679.0. So high side, this is what we're looking for. Low side, this is what we're looking for. If you look at this overall trend that I've just rejigged right now, we need to be mindful that there is a lot of room for price to do a retracement down to the downside. So we've got to be mindful of that. And if price does a retracement down to the downside, then there is a high probability it's going to break out of this trend line altogether, okay, and then push down to possibly take out a major weekly low. The major weekly low in this overall structure right here is this one right here. This is the major weekly low. If this one goes, then literally it is just flying all the way down, because essentially if you look on this side here, the level that I put there, this has been there for months now. So right now we are on the buy side of the market, right? Buy side of the market. and I've been thinking for a while that there's high probability the price will be breaking down. It hasn't been broken down, even though I've been looking for sales. But how I normally place my sales is I place my sales with a trailing stop. So normally it usually works out. Sometimes I get it wrong, but in most cases it works out, right? So as it stands, this is how it's going to be. If this weekly low is taken out, okay, right, then price may just come down to this trend line right here, this trend line over here, which is fine, right? It doesn't have to, because I've just put it there, so it doesn't mean anything. It could literally just totally ignore it and create a whole new structure, a brand new one, right? Now, if price comes down and takes out a weekly low, okay, I will be confident the price wants to come down. If price takes out a major weekly low, then I know that there is a lot of drop to the downside, and I can be as ambitious as I want to be in regards to how much profit I want to make. But at the same time, in me saying that, we have an actual move that has taken place that we cannot ignore, which is that a major high has just been taken out. So the sensible approach would be to go in a direction of the market, and right now market is going up, so follow that direction until one of the major rules has been taken out, which is the weekly low comes out. That should be the only reason why you change your mind in regards to market coming down, right? And at the same time, weekly highs and weekly lows are systems that a lot of people are not used to, which is fine, right? Such is life. I mean, resistance and support, they work well too, so you can use that, right? But however, if it is going over your head, then naturally there are videos that I've put up. So there is a video that you're going to be seeing right at the end of this one, which will be a backtesting videos on all other indicators and tools that I've used in the past that has helped me before I got to this stage of trading in this kind of style, right? And also, if you want to watch the previous week's video, that too would be here also. So with all of that covered, my awesome people from all around the world, I want to thank you for coming over to watch another episode, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video, which will be very, very soon. So for now, this is Pips and Points signing out.